and every firearm sold in the city. The result of this, they said this wasn't an anti-gun move, right? They wanted the money to go towards gun violence.
We don't live in a bubble. There's outside forces that hate us because of what we have. And I always tell the kids this at the end. I always say, you see that flag? It's not made out of cloth. It's made out of the blood of patriots. So it's a good thing. And I think that's why, me speaking, I get called a lot for stuff like that. Fox News. We were with the Navy SEAL who shot Bin Laden. If you, yeah, me and my sergeant were there for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was, it's nice to shake somebody's hand. Said thanks for finishing the job.
Right.
Although the job's not finished, but thanks for getting us over that chapter, closing that chapter. And I'll show you a picture afterward with him. It was pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, spent a little time with him. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We sounding good, Jim? Okay.
Navy, and I think it was our third date. I took her out to shoot pistols. I'm, just to get my hands around.
Right.
And man, 15 yards, 9mm a Beretta. She puts 10 rounds at 15 yards, like in a group like this. And I'm like, okay. And then she goes, you want to try something cool? I said, yeah. And she's like, I shoot bow. And I said, I've always wanted to do that, but I'm a Spanish kid from Hackers. I played soccer. I said, I've always wanted to try. And she taught me, and that was it.
That is awesome. All right, let me know when you guys are rolling. You good? Okay. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Well, we are here at the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and joining us on set, I am just absolutely thrilled to have with us Will Ameno, New York Port Authority police officer, World Trade Center survivor. Will, it is such a pleasure and an honor to spend some time with you today.
Oh, man, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. It really is.
Oh, I got to tell you, I mean, yesterday you walked up to the set and you told me that you actually listened to the program.
Yes.
You presented this patch to me, and I was stunned that you listened. So thank you for listening to the program.
No,
first of all.
I want to thank you because, the things I believe in, you speak about. And it's things that need to be spoken about, and the media doesn't. And you do. You bring those common sense, logical points across to many of us, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, I want to talk about what you're doing here at the Great American Outdoor Show. The hat on your head here, Northwoods Bear Products.
Yes.
And you're at the booth with them today, right?
Yes, I was very fortunate to harvest a large black bear in New Jersey, an urban black bear. There's a story coming out about it in Bear Hunting Magazine because it was a problem bear. And it goes back to basically everything that we believe in. Hunting, owning guns, and hunting actually in this case helped the community. So it's a great story that's coming out on there. And so Northwoods Bear Products asked me to come and be a representative here to speak to people on their product, which I use, and it worked really well. So sitting here with them and then got to meet you, so it's a pretty cool deal.
That's awesome. So how did you get into hunting? I mean, did you grow up hunting?
No, I grew up in Hackensack, New Jersey. A Spanish kid, came here from Colombia. I was two of my parents, so we were looking for the American dream. I went into the military, into the Navy. When I got out, I met my beautiful wife, to be Allison. Took her pistol shooting once, and she impressed me with the gun. And then she said, you want to try something cool? And I said, yeah. And she said, let's try bow hunting. I bow hunt. And she put a bow in my hand, and I've never looked back. I think she regrets it today, but it's part of my life, the outdoors, the shooting sports, the hunting, and she's the one that actually got me into the outdoors, and I appreciate it. I love her for it.
That is awesome. I love that story because a lot of times we hear the other side of it. We hear, women say that, oh, yeah, I wasn't really a hunter, but my husband got me into it, or he told me, we'll go out there. So I love that twist. I love the fact that we are now living in a day and age where officially now we have women who are getting their husbands and their husbands to be involved in hunting. That's awesome.
It's awesome. And, now we have, Eva Shockey, Lukowski. It's good to see a lot of women out there and spreading our sport, which is important. We need to the next generation. We need not only young men, we need young women, and we need them younger today so we can expand on our freedoms here that we have.
Are you concerned that we are losing our freedoms? I mean, we're going to be approaching we are approaching the 15th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. How are we doing in terms of remaining a free country and confronting our enemies?
Well, I'm always an optimist. If you see the film World Trade Center that tells the tale of what happened to our team in America that day, I still have a lot of optimism. But we're under attack. We're under attack from Obama administration. We're under attack from liberals who basically have agenda that really is not what America's built on. And because of people like you, because of the NRA, because of many Americans in my community alone, people are putting in for gun permits every day. People use me as a reference. I believe that it's a hard fight, but I still believe in America. But it's a scary thing. I got to tell you, when I'm watching the news, and all they want to do is continue to restrict access to weapons for the good people, it makes no sense. I mean, the criminals just get away with everything. They set everything up for the criminals, and that's just a fact. And I tell people that live in a bubble, you need to really look at the situations. It's not your regular, God honest, fearing American who's doing these bad acts. When you have these mass shootings, these are ill people. These are people that are getting their guns illegally, and we can't punish the good for the bad. I hear Obama coming out on different issues and talking, well, we don't want to label all Muslims bad. Well, why do you label gun owners all bad? I mean, that's just common sense. What's good for one should be good for all. And we're Americans, like I said, I tell everybody that American flag is not made out of cloth. It's made out of the blood of patriots. All those men and women who have died, given their lives so we can have the right to the Constitution, it's like spitting on their grave, and we can't do that. We have to just be logical people and say, look, we got bad guys. Like they say in Chicago, if they really enforce the laws, you would lock up guys that are carrying guns and let them sit in jail for a long time. That would deter them. They're going to say next time, hey, I just got 7, 8 years for carrying a gun. Maybe I'm not going to do that again. It's just common sense.
Heck, I mean, just take a look at New Jersey. My wife lived in Camden for almost a decade.
Oh.
Back in the 1990s, when it was the murder capital of the United States.
Fair, yeah.
And the gun laws were really tough even back then. You had to get your pistol purchase permit, and you had to get your firearms ID card, and all of the hoops and hurdles that you had to jump through as a legal gun owner that the violent criminals paid absolutely no attention to, right? And so the people who were prevented from exercising the right to keep and bear arms were those who couldn't afford the government fees,
Exactly.
those who couldn't take time off of work to make multiple trips down to the sheriff's department. All of these burdens and barriers that were put in between them and their rights, and it didn't make anybody any safer because, again, Camden was the murder capital of the world. It's still one of the most violent cities in New Jersey right now.
Since the beginning of this year, I think it was only 2 hours into the new year in Newark, New Jersey. As most people know, Newark, great city, but it has its issues. And, here we have shootings 2 hours into it. And again, it's not your legal gun owner, and it's very frustrating, here is Chicago, Obama's place. Already, I believe in January, over 50 homicides. Nobody talks about it. It's only when you get a crazy that does that. And then who do they come after? They come after the legal gun owners, the people that are following the rules. New Jersey, Governor Corzine, he did nothing for us with the only one handgun a month, every 30 days. So for the sportsman who wants to shoots 22s and needs to have several 22s for a competition, that person has to wait 30 days to buy one. It did nothing for us. All it does is bear down us, the legal gun owners. It is frustrating.
You say you're seeing, even in New Jersey right now, with the attempts, decades-long attempts to obliterate that lawful gun culture, you actually have friends, relatives who are saying, yeah, you know what, actually, I want to exercise my right. I want to go ahead and become a gun owner.
And a lot of women, believe it or not. In the past month, I've had about 7 different women in my town where I live asking me about what firearm should I own. I want to purchase a firearm. And I tell everybody, too, especially us young guys that are macho, everybody sees the TV and they just go out and buy guns. Guns are tools. They're just like, hey, if I need a hammer, I need a drill. You got to buy the right weapon for the right job. So I try to explain to them, you need to get trained. You need to know how to use the weapon, no different than using a saw, because it's common safety stuff. And then I explain to them what works for what. What do you want it for? Home defense? You want it for carrying purpose? In New Jersey, you'd have to be God to carry. But and it's encouraging to see people exercising their rights, and that's what I'm proud of. People keep attacking the Second Amendment, but you don't want the First Amendment attacked. You don't want your Fourth Amendment attacked. Why attack the Second because when the second crumbles, the whole Constitution will crumble. But always an optimist, and seeing so many people in New Jersey right now, and they know me because of my background. I do a lot with the outdoor. I do a lot with Mossy Oak, the company, so they see me doing some hunting shows and talking about firearms and things like that. So, as an American, I'm very proud that I have people willing to come to me in confidence, say, "What weapon should I get?" And saying, "Hey, I'm putting for a gun permit. Can we put you down as a reference?" It's really cool. I just had one of our local neighbors nearby me, his wife put in for a handgun permit, and she said, I see where this is going. I want to make sure that I have the right now the opportunity to exercise my right. I tell her we're not going to lose that right because I think it'd be a cold day in hell before we as Americans gave up our Second Amendment. I know I would. I would not allow anyone to take my right away. I fought for this country. I suffered through 9/11. Those rights there, they're paid for in blood. And I think that people have to understand that you might not be a gun owner, but you better support that Second Amendment person who believes in that because that's the person when things go bad. We saw it during the floods in Katrina, Sandy. When things go bad, people need to protect their families. People turn on each other. It's a sad fact. And you have to have that right, your God given right to protect your family. And what better way to do it with the Second Amendment?
We're talking with Will Ameno. And Will, I want to ask you, folks who've seen the movie World Trade Center, they know your story. Um, in many ways, I think you are defined publicly for what happened on 9/11. But you were already a man when 9/11 occurred. How did you get to the point where you were a Port Authority officer, where you were on duty there on 9/11? What? I mean, you talked about you were born in Columbia, you moved to Hackensack when you were 2. What made you the man who you are?
Well, I go back to my mom and dad. They are hardworking people, came from a different country, wanted the American dream. My mom instilled in me that be proud of your heritage because the United States is a melting pot and we can offer something, but we're Americans. We fly the American flag. My mom says you learn English. Like I was mentioning to you yesterday, my mom has a tough Spanish, what's the word I'm looking for?
Accent?
Accent, yeah. And but she loves America, and she instilled in me be proud of your heritage, but we're always American. And my dream was to help people. That was the thing. And for me, it was law enforcement. So I went into the Navy, served on USS Tripoli, just got off that ship before she got hit by the mine in the first Gulf War. Came home, went to school. Took me 6 long years to become a police officer in New Jersey. It's a very sought after position. And I was lucky enough to get on the Port Authority Police of New York and New Jersey. And it was a dream. We were 100th class, graduated on January 19th at the World Trade Center. And then 9 months later, I find myself in the worst attack in U.S. history, And one of the things growing up for me was I would always watch the military movies. I was so just taken back on how brave Americans were, how they would fight for not only us, but other nations. And I wanted to serve. So I served there. I was lucky enough to get on a police department that serves 2 states, New York and New Jersey. And on 9/11, when I got there, I had a great sergeant that wanted to go in and rescue people. Had a great team of guys. I cannot go with this conversation without saying that, we lost 37, the most in law enforcement history, followed by our brothers at the NYPD with 23, and of course the 343 firefighters and countless civilians who were just doing what we all do, practicing our liberties every day. And I was fortunate enough to survive this attack after 13 hours, but that goes back to what we believe in, not only the Second Amendment. On 9/11, evil came to our doorstep, and evil thought we were going to falter. And yet we, in the face of evil, showed them, no, people came in to save us. We were in between both towers. We were in the epicenter of it. And yet people, other Americans, put their lives on the line to get me out. And that's why, for me, as a survivor, not only is it my duty to tell about the bravery of my fellow officers and everyone that day, but about America and how we will not allow evil to triumph. And that starts with us at home protecting our own rights. We have enough outside influences in the world today, ISIS, the Taliban, common criminals in the United States that want to take our freedom somehow, some way. And we're too busy trying to take our own freedoms away, which just is mind-boggling. So I tell people when you suffer and you give blood, you get a different perspective on why it's important that we protect the whole Constitution, especially the Second Amendment.
Listen, Will, it is, again, a pleasure and an honor spending some time with you. You got a microphone anytime you want. Would love to have you back on the program.
Well, I appreciate it. And I just, again, thank you and the NRA for everything you guys do because we need to fight, and we can never give that up because, again, when we give that up, not only are we failing us, we're failing all those that have died to make sure that we have these freedoms.
Willamino, thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
We'll talk
Appreciate
again
it. God
soon.
bless.
Willamino joining us here on NRA News, Cam and Company.